Today we will be discussing Chapter 1, Section 1. When you finish this portion of the lesson, you should be able to define environmental science and compare environmental science with ecology, list the 5 major fields of study that contribute to environmental science, describe the major environmental effects of hunter-gatherers, the agricultural revolution, and the industrial revolution, distinguish between renewable and non-renewable resources, and classify environmental problems into 3 major categories. To start this lesson, I want you to think about the word environment. What is the environment? What do you think of when you hear the word? I want you to write this question into your journal with the response underneath it. When some people hear the word environment, they think of animals roaming in an open field with trees and grasses all around. Others may think of beaches with waves crashing along the shoreline and birds flying overhead. Most people don't think of their backyard or their neighborhood. The environment is everything around us. It includes the things of the natural world and the things that are human-made. What do you think environmental science is? Environmental science is the study of the air, water, and land surrounding an organism or a community, which ranges from a small area to Earth's entire biosphere. It includes the study of the impact of humans on the environment and involves the physical, biological, and social sciences. We will go into more detail about the different sciences that contribute to the study of environmental science later in this lesson. A major goal of environmental science is to understand and solve environmental problems. To accomplish this goal, environmental scientists study 2 main types of interactions between humans and their environment. One of the interactions is how our actions alter the environment. The second is the use of natural resources. Environmental science is an interdisciplinary science, which means that it involves many fields of study. Ecology is at the foundation of environmental science. Ecology is the study of interactions of living organisms with one another and their environment. There are many fields of study that contribute to environmental science, as you can see by looking at the slide. I am not going to read all the fields to you. You can look at them more closely on page 7 in the book. Governments, businesses, and cities recognize that studying our environment is vital to maintaining a healthy and productive society. Because of this, environmental scientists are often asked to share their research with the world. However, the observations of non-scientists are the first steps towards addressing an environmental problem. The Earth's environment has changed through time. Whenever humans have hunted, grown food, or settled, they have changed the environment. Take Manhattan Island as an example. The environment changes that occurred on Manhattan Island over the past 300 years have been immense, as you can see in the picture. Years ago, hunter-gatherers used to habitate Manhattan Island. Hunter-gatherers are people who obtain food by collecting plants and by hunting wild animals or scavenging their remains. Hunter-gatherers affect their environment in many ways. Native American tribes hunted buffalo. The tribes set fires to burn prairies and prevent the growth of trees, thus left the prairie as an open grassland ideal for hunting bison. In North America, a combination of rapid climate change and overhunting by hunter-gatherers may have led to the disappearance of some large mammal species, including the giant sloths, giant bison, mastodons, cave bears, and the saber-toothed cats. Another notable event in the world's history is the agricultural revolution. Agriculture is the raising of crops and livestock for food or other products that are useful to humans. The practice of agriculture started in many different parts of the world over 10,000 years ago. The change has had such a dramatic impact on human societies and their environment that it is often called the agricultural revolution. One result due to the agricultural revolution is that it changed the food we eat. Did you realize the plants we grow and eat today are descendants from wild plants from years ago? During harvest season, farmers collected seeds from plants that exhibited the qualities they desired, such as large kernels. These seeds were then planted and harvested again. Over time, the domesticated plants became very different from their ancestors, as you can see in this picture. There have been many problems caused by the agricultural revolution. One was many habitats were destroyed, such as grasslands, forests, and wetlands, and were replaced with farmland. Replacing forests with farmland on a large scale can cause soil loss, floods, and water shortages, which are some problems we are still dealing with today. The slash and burn technique was one of the earliest ways that land was converted to farmland. Unfortunately, much of the converted land was poorly farmed and is no longer fertile today. Another time in environmental history is the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution resulted in a shift from energy sources such as animals and running water to fossil fuels such as coal and oil. This increased use of fossil fuels changed society and greatly increased the efficiency of agriculture, industry, and transportation. The invention of motorized vehicles allowed food to be transported cheaply across greater distances. In factories, the large-scale production of goods became less expensive than the local production of handmade goods. On the farm, machinery reduced the amount of land and human labor needed to produce food. With fewer people producing their own food, the population in urban areas steadily grew. The Industrial Revolution has improved the quality of life for humans. It introduced us to many things such as the light bulb and telephone. Agricultural productivity increased during the Industrial Revolution. Sanitation, nutrition, and medical care vastly improved also. Life as you know it today would not be the same if it was not for the Industrial Revolution. However, the Industrial Revolution also introduced many new environmental problems such as pollution and habitat loss. In the 1900s, modern societies began to use artificial substances in place of raw animal and plant products. As a result, we have materials such as plastics, artificial pesticides, and fertilizers. Many of these products from the Industrial Revolution has made life easier for us, but they also come at a cost to the environment. We are now beginning to understand some of the environmental problems they have caused. In fact, much of environmental science is focused on finding solutions to problems caused by the Industrial Revolution. Have you ever thought of the Earth as being a spaceship? Earth can be compared to a spaceship traveling through space as it cannot dispose of its waste or take on new supplies. When it comes to matter, it is essentially a closed system. The only thing that enters the Earth's atmosphere in large amounts is energy from the sun, and the only thing that leaves in large amounts is heat. This type of closed system has some potential problems. Some resources are limited, and as the population grows, the resources will be used more rapidly. There is also the possibility that we will produce waste more quickly than we can dispose of them. There are three categories that environmental problems can be grouped into. One is resource depletion, second is pollution, and the third is loss of biodiversity. Let's review a little over what a natural resource is. A natural resource is any natural materials that are used by humans, such as water, petroleum, minerals, forests, and animals. Natural resources are classified as either renewable resources or non-renewable resources. Natural resources can be classified as either renewable resources or non-renewable resources. Renewable resources can be replaced relatively quickly by natural processes. Non-renewable resources form at a much slower rate than they are consumed. Resources are said to be depleted when a large portion of the resource has been used up. Once the supply of a non-renewable resource has been used up, it may take millions of years to replenish it. Renewable resources such as trees may also be depleted, causing deforestation in some areas. Pollution is another major problem environmental scientists have to deal with. Pollution is an undesirable change in the natural environment that is caused by the introduction of substances that are harmful to living things. This can be caused by excessive waste, heat, noise, or radiation. Much of the pollution that troubles us today is produced by human activities and the accumulation of waste. There are two main types of pollutants: biodegradable pollutants, which can be broken down by natural processes. An example would be a newspaper. And then there are non-degradable pollutants, which cannot be broken down by natural processes. And that includes materials such as mercury, plastic. Degradable pollutants are a problem only when they accumulate faster than they can be broken down. However, non-degradable pollutants do not break down easily, so they can build up to a dangerous level in the environment. The last major problem environmental scientists face is loss of biodiversity. Biodiversity is the variety of organisms in a given area. The organisms that share the world with us can be considered natural resources. We depend on them for food, the oxygen we breathe, and for many other things. Only a fraction of all the species that once roamed the earth are alive today. Many have gone extinct. Scientists think that if the current extinction rates continue, it will cause future problems for the human population. For these reasons, it is important we take care of the environment we live in.